Hi, I'm Brian Kellerman, the Chief Quality and Safety Officer at Kellerman Consulting, and this is our video series on determining and analyzing key performance indicators in businesses. In this series, we have reviewed the core concepts behind setting KPIs and the useful ways to think about different approaches and different metrics. In this episode, we are going to discuss practically how key performance indicators are handled in quality and safety management systems and what auditors will be looking for in properly functioning programs. ISO 9001 has 6 sections of requirements, starting with Section 4 and ending in Section 10. For key performance indicators, Section 5, addressing leadership, and 6, addressing risks and opportunities, are the main sections where KPIs should be documented. For the leadership section, there should be written evidence that leadership was included in selecting KPIs. In improperly set up ISO 9001 programs, metrics are selected and included only to satisfy the requirement that they be present, and in the worst cases are not properly tracked or analyzed. To assure that KPIs are properly integrated into the QMS, we strongly recommend including key performance indicators into the required policy statement for the program that is also put in Section 5. The reason for this is that the policy statement is the place to define the organization's values and purpose, and the key measurements of the effectiveness within the organization should tie directly to both values and purpose. If you already have a policy statement posted, consider updating it to include the 4 or more metrics we recommend. If you have not yet created a policy statement, we recommend starting with the KPIs and building the rest of the policy statement around key performance indicators. Personnel are required to know the policy statement for ISO programs, so including KPIs in this statement will further solidify the importance of KPIs and will also reinforce knowledge of the key metrics that are being measured. Once the KPIs have been added to the policy statement, each KPI should also be part of the risk and assessment discussions that are part of the Section 6 documentation. If the facility uses an FMEA model of risk analysis, KPIs for operations may be included as risks being assessed. Beyond risk assessment, the review requirements for KPIs include an annual review of risks and opportunities, and where KPIs are stable, only performing the review once per year may make sense. However, when we add or make changes to our key performance indicators, and any time we have a failure in the metrics, this should trigger a review. When this has occurred, we should expect to perform a risk and opportunities review more frequently going forward, and that may be quarterly, monthly, or weekly, depending on how quality and leadership wants to handle risks and opportunities reviews. Additionally, actions within ISO 9001 programs found in the Resources and Operations sections, which are sections 7 and 8 of the program, line up with recommendations we have made in our previous episodes in this series. To summarize these actions, we need to make sure that as part of our day-to-day operations, we are capable of tracking the metrics. That means we have the proper equipment, the properly trained personnel, and written procedures to record and authenticate the data we get for each indicator. It would also require that we take immediate organizational actions each time a key performance indicator fails or develops a negative trend, and that a documented root cause investigation, corrective action, and preventive action is conducted for each of those failures. An example would be a bank having an IT procedure for performing cybersecurity scans to look for data breaches. Included in this would be having the most up-to-date cybersecurity software and properly trained contractors to manage those scans. Lastly, if the metric was 0 cybersecurity breaches, it would be authenticating tests to show that pre-planned test breaches are picked up by the software and accurately reported in those scans. For the final actions in an ISO 9001 program that had properly implemented key performance indicators, we need to make sure that the review actions by quality assurance and management occurred as scheduled. As with the risk and opportunities review of KPIs, we must review that our resources and operation actions occurred as expected. In Section 9 of the ISO 9001 code, we must perform an internal audit and management review. For the internal audit team must examine the recorded data for completeness and accuracy, as well as training records for personnel associated with KPI data collection, as well as all nonconformance, root cause analysis, corrective, and preventive actions associated with failure in that data collection and analysis. Because key performance indicators are so important to our organization, it's best for top management to duplicate the actions of the internal audit team with respect to the KPI evaluations. Top management should be presented the findings of the internal audit to make sure that the findings of management review match those of the internal audit. Lastly, key performance indicators are not really meant to be improvements, so Section 10 may not directly relate to KPIs, except where changes to KPIs include upgrades to operations, as would be the case where the bank in our previous example upgrades their security scanning software technology as part of the KPI to have no data breaches. For GFSI programs such as SQF, BRCGS, Primus GFS, and FSSC 22000, KPIs are not required but are highly recommended as focus points within the program. While each of these programs use different rule books and have differing requirements, all of them are alike enough to discuss together as it pertains to where key performance indicators are concerned. For businesses subscribed to any GFSI program, key performance indicators should be written into the food safety policy statement, along with a commitment to the scheme, a commitment to delivering safe food, and to meet customer expectations. By writing the KPIs into the policy statement, each of the indicators becomes essential to the success of the program, are properly communicated to all staff, and the reviews of the KPIs can be submitted during audit as proof that the program is running as intended. One important thing to note here is that KPIs can be both directly related to food safety as well as to other parts of the business, such as the financial, sales, worker safety, and other areas of the business, as long as they are included in the food safety policy statement and are both properly communicated and properly reviewed as part of the GFSI program. Once the KPIs have been added to the food safety policy statement, they should be reviewed as part of the verification actions within the GFSI scheme requirements. The first place where KPIs should be reviewed as part of the program is in the management review process. In all of the GFSI programs, management review is performed each month to confirm that the program is running as expected, and then again annually for the entire program, including all of the food safety systems. In both types of meetings, presenting management with the current metrics, trending, and analysis of KPIs would be appropriate. Recording management feedback on the indicators, adding or changing the indicators, and addressing any corrective or preventive actions in response to metrics that are not acceptable to all management is also expected in all of the GFSI programs. In addition to management review, KPIs embedded into the GFSI program should also be internally audited by the quality department. Internal auditing of KPIs is functionally the same as was mentioned for the ISO 9001 programs we mentioned earlier in this episode, and should include the process of reviewing data collection records, training, analysis of the data, and the information presented to management to verify that the information is accurate. Additionally, any nonconformances, corrective actions, and preventive actions related directly to KPIs should be reviewed as part of internal auditing, and this should include evidence of follow-up management meetings and documentations from the CAPA actions. For more information on how to properly perform an internal audit and how to address corrective actions and preventive actions, please consider watching our video series on those topics. Thank you for watching this series on KPIs. And for more information on how to properly operate quality management and safety systems, please visit our website at www.kellermanconsulting.com or follow us on YouTube.